What's this meeting today all about?
Well, this morning, this meeting is going to be vital in giving restaurants and bars across the country a little bit more visibility about what's going to be happening to the sector over the next few weeks. So, businesses have asked the French government to allow them to reopen in mid-June, and hopefully at the end of this meeting, a date will have been fixed for them to be able to do that because the sector is really struggling during the crisis. So, the sector's seen a 91% drop in business activity since the beginning of the lockdown, and one study has even estimated that the restaurant sector in France is losing up to 1.2 billion euros each week. So if businesses were able to open in June, that would give them time to implement new rules around hygiene, which will normally be imposed in restaurants and bars. So some measures that restaurants in France are considering taking include handing out hand gel to customers upon their arrival in the establishment, even taking their temperature. All staff, of course, wearing masks, menus only being on blackboards so that customers aren't going to be handling the menus, and even cutting 50% of covers in restaurants to allow more space between tables. Now, that last point in particular is interesting because if they cut down tables, they're also, of course, going to have to cut down their staff. So this is one of the assurances that these businesses are seeking from the French government. They want to know that their employees are going to be protected, are going to continue benefiting from the partial unemployment scheme in France up until March next year.
Again, obviously, tourism and hospitality are vitally important segments of the French economy. What are the next few weeks and months going to look like, Catherine?
Well, the longer they stay closed, the harder it will be, of course, for restaurants, cafes, and bars to recover after the crisis. And trade unions for the sector have made certain demands. So they're asking that restaurants and bars and hotels, etc., don't have to pay certain social charges, nor their licenses, nor local taxes up until the end of the year. They're also asking for a stay on rent payments for the next 6 months. And more importantly, perhaps, they're asking for financial aid to help compensate for the loss of revenue during the first few months of the lockdown. Now, just to put into context how badly the sector has been hit, this week preliminary data from the IHS Market Purchasing Managers Index was released, and in France, the services sector has plunged to 10.4 in April, and that's down from already historic lows of 27.4 in March. And just to give you a bit more context around that, anything below 50 is seen as a serious deterioration. So what Macron says today really will be decisive for many businesses across the country. And for some, they may decide that the cost of restructuring and reorganizing their businesses isn't going to be worth it. And it's expected that between 30 and 40% of restaurants and bars across the country may never be able to reopen.